Hey everybody, I hope everybody can see me okay, hear me okay. Just make sure this is going to work just fine. And pop out the chat. But today we're going to talk about Nano. I know a lot of you have been looking for this for a long time. And the question is it worth buying? Sorry, checking the audio, watching the markets. Hopefully it's one of these days when we do this live that the market will pump. So anyway, let's jump right in, and hopefully you guys can see my screen. So we're going to talk about Nano. I'm going to blitz through this because you guys know the drill already, what it's about, of course. Math, money, and freedom. Not that many calculations on this one. Disclaimer, of course, none of this is investment advice. And the valuation process, you guys know the drill, 10-part valuation process. We go through everything. Is it worth it? Value, longevity, where does it rank, and price predictions towards the very end, as well as risks. And we put it all together and make a conclusion at the very end. So please stick around. So first of all, let's jump in. And what it does, well, before I jump in, many of you have been asking for this for a long time. It's like one of those just outside the top 100. And it was really high not too long ago, and that's what has everybody very excited. So basically, what it does, it is a digital payment protocol designed for fast transactions. It's also Feeless, which seems hard to believe and to wrap your head around. And it is basically digital money for the modern world, and it used the DAG network structure for security. And DAG is Directed Acyclic Graph, like HBAR and a couple of others. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Now, the guy behind this is founder Colin LeMahieu. He's been doing this since 2014, so nearly 8 years in the trot. He built originally RaiBlocks, and it was rebranded as Nano. And his vision was to create digital money for the modern world, peer-to-peer, at no cost. Sounds too good to be true? Well, we'll see. So where does it rank? Now, you guys are probably familiar with a lot of these players here in the world, starting with Bitcoin Cash. Of course, do not buy Bitcoin Cash. Litecoin, Terra Luna. A lot of people were looking for Terra Luna. And we decided to do Nano because not only there was huge demand for it, but also seems like a lot of potential upside because it's so small. It really is a micro cap. AMP, Dash, Zcash, Swipe, all these different names. Now, what's really intriguing is the market cap. It's basically $570 million. So $500 million. And you compare that to things like Litecoin at nearly $10 billion. It's a 20th of the size. And it has some other good features. So when we look at how it plays as well, this is just quick comparisons here. Compared to Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Bitcoin itself proper, you see instant transactions, feeless transactions, completely decentralized, eco-friendly, scalable, and secure. Nobody else has this. Not even close. So is there a catch? So let's just go a little bit deeper. In terms of industry disruption, Nano is really trying to disrupt the whole peer-to-peer payment network that is open and feeless. And we know a little bit about this, the PayPals, the Venmos, the Squares, all of these players, as well as a lot of the digital crypto-related peer-to-peer systems that are in place. That's who they're going after and who they want to disrupt. Now, look at the value propositions beyond the ones I just mentioned. Is really, I just got to stress again, the zero-fee transactions. Merchants and retailers don't need to worry about transaction delays when accepting payments because it's instantaneous. And network participants do not receive a fee for securing the network. So there are no transaction fees to pay. And it can also be used for things like microtransactions, like sending 5 cents or 10 cents. So in emerging markets, it's also very popular if they could get it adopted. We'll talk more about that too. Other value props compared to Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. We've heard a lot about that lately as well with El Salvador. You can see here scalability. Lightning Network has the same type of scalability. Fees. There are fees under Lightning, but it's actually not that bad. But again, Nano is free. And a whole bunch of other stuff. But the problem is Bitcoin with Lightning does still use a lot of energy, whereas Nano is eco-friendly. So for all the ESG people out there, it is comforting to know that Nano exists. And that's another feather in the cap of Nano. So let's look at the technology and developers. Again, we mentioned it does use DAG, which is that proof of stake consensus for security. And they also use another thing, which is kind of block lattice functions. as a set of non-shared data structures. So every account keeps track of its own transaction history, equivalent to every account having its own blockchain. So one of the reasons why things like Bitcoin is kind of slow and heavy is because every transaction is loaded onto the blockchain. So it takes a while to load, where this one just looks at the piece. Now, in terms of what it looks like, we covered this before when we covered HBAR, but that's DAG technology and how it can be visualized. Now, DAG is also the same technology used by Hedera Hashgraph, IOTA, Conflux, I think, and a few others. So it's becoming more widely adopted. Now, let's look a little bit more at the technology. Transactions are published asynchronously, which is powerful. And the key thing really here is, again, the sender publishes a block debiting their own account, and the receiver publishes a matching block crediting their own account. So it sounds very simple, very straightforward, and that's the beauty of blockchain and why it's revolutionizing the world. Now, tokenomics. We've looked at tokenomics from a whole host of different plays, and NANO has a thing called ORV, which is Open Representative Voting. And that allows participants to confirm transactions on the network through voting nodes. Now, the big question here, because it's unique, the people that keep the network secure don't earn block rewards or transaction fees. How does it really work? And how does proof of work work? Basically, it's a volunteer network. So the big question when I started digging into this was, okay, you got a foundation and you got a team behind NANO. They were originally granted about 7 million NANO, which is about 5% of the total allocation, which I can't remember the exact number, but 130 million approximately. And that is their development fund, and that's their reward for keeping the thing going. But apart from that, it's really hard to wrap your head around, okay, they don't get any fees, so how can they grow and scale? So we'll see. Now, in terms of the distribution of the tokens, we have never seen anything as fair as this. They basically granted 95% of the supply free to the public. The only thing people had to do was complete one of those CAPTCHA things to prove they're human to be able to get access to tokens. And the foundation reserve, I mentioned that 5% of 130 million coins is reserved for the developers. Now, the ecosystem, this is one of the weak or bad pieces here. It is extremely weak compared to cryptos that are of comparable size. And the adoption has been very lackluster, which is not good. So we need to figure out exactly what they could do to grow. So let's look at growth and longevity. They have been around since 2014, which is also very positive. And they rebranded in 2017 to NANO. But the weak ecosystem, despite all that, they are extremely well known out there in crypto land or the cryptoverse. Now, risks. One of the most important things is really to dig into risks. And NANO wants to be that decentralized P2P network for everyday transactions all over the world. But because so much coins were given for free, and this actually is I'm going to step out for a second. When you give something to people, they don't respect it and they lose it. So odds are it is deflationary and a lot of NANO tokens are lost. So when that is the case and something is deflationary, like Ethereum could be very soon with EIP 1559, or at least especially when ETH 2.0 goes into place, that puts a lot of upward pressure on price. And that means when that happens, the upward pressure on price, that can bring about a fluctuating price, and that can make it problematic to be used as an everyday currency, which is an issue. Now, the Feeless system makes it susceptible also to spam attacks. Even with its DAG and DPoS, it still relies on proof of work to prevent spam. And the lack of an ecosystem, as we mentioned before, lack of adoption with merchants, puts in question exactly what is the use case and can it float going forward. So let's look at the chart real quick. And Jason, I'll get to that question afterwards. Thank you so much as well for that. The NANO chart, if we look at what makes it very attractive to many and why people wanted to put it on our radar to analyze, is back in the middle of May, NANO was trading at nearly $22 a token. And after that, we had the kind of mini dip in the cryptoverse. and the price went all the way back down to about $3. And now we're back up at about $4 and change, $4.40 approximately. And the question is, and what everybody's looking for is, can it go back from $4 up to $20, $22, which would be a 5.5x? And that remains to be seen. So let's dig into some price predictions. So I crunched all the price predictions from all the main analysts, Trading Beast, Wallet Investor, Digital Coin, GovCap, and calculated an average. And I also pulled out cryptocurrency price predictions because their price predictions were off the charts. They said it's going to be like $57 by year end, $187 next year, $200 the year after, $450 in 2025, and $1,000 in 2030, which I thought was kind of outrageous. But when I look at some of the other ones and pulled in average, like Trading Beast was pretty conservative, and so was Government Cap. The average is about $11 this year, $13 next year, $17 the year after, $21 after that, and $25, $26 in the year 2025, which is much more reasonable. Now, what I did was I calculated my own little flavor of what I believe would be based on market cap and share of the market that they have compared to things like Litecoin and other competitive players. So my market cap estimate for Nano was about 1.2 billion. So if you compare that to the price today of $500 million, there is a good return to be had of at least it'll grow by 2.5 times where it is today. 1.5 billion in 2022, 1.8 2023, over 2 billion 2024, and 2.7 billion. But this really all depends on how much adoption there is. Now, when you compare my market caps to the market caps of the average from the analysts, after I pulled out coin price prediction, you can see some of them are quite insane. Like my 2025 market cap is 2.7 billion, and the average of all the analysts is nearly 15 billion. And the pricing, again, could it be at $20 in 2025? It all depends on adoption. Now, what I would do if I was the management team, I'd find a way to try and integrate this technology as a layer 2 solution on top of something like Bitcoin. Maybe that's another use case. Who knows what? Anyway, let's go to the conclusions real quick. And I'm getting faster and faster at doing these, so thank you all for being patient. Nano strengths, it's extremely scalable, has that DAG architecture. It had no ICO. The team are extremely selfless and fair. It is the most beautiful and equitable distribution of tokens we have ever seen from a tokenomics perspective. It's also deflationary, which is good for price. It's also lightweight and fast. Now the weaknesses, they only have 5 developers. They only have 6 principals. And technically, when you look at the coin distribution, the top 10 wallets hold 30% of the coins, and they have competition coming from places like Facebook with their Libra DM solution. Now, if we look at other conclusions, finally, they have the ambitious goal. There is a need for this type of system. It is feeless. It is instantaneous. So all of these are real big positives. It has this digital payment protocol designed for fast transactions, work all around the world in real time, instant settlement. There's a huge commitment to the community. The question is, are there enough developers to do more work and to build more features and functionality out? And it is hard to see Nano becoming this widely used payment network unless they can pivot their use case or focus more on more merchant adoption. So could it be a 2xer from $4 to $8? I think absolutely. If the market goes crazy, this could easily go back to $20. And that's why when I analyzed all the things you wanted to see, I looked at the top 10 that's in demand. And I know Elrond really bounced today, and that was one of them as well. But when I looked at the upside of where it was in May, this one is basically a flyer. So as a speculative investment, not financial advice, somebody has $100 to throw around, $100 at this Nano could easily go to $10 or $20 if the bull market gets back in place. That's what makes it very interesting. It's extremely oversold in my opinion. So that's the conclusion. I will open this up to a couple of quick questions. There's probably a lot of questions regarding Ethereum. So I stuck an Ethereum sign behind me, and I see Lucas is in there. Lucas Ryan, how are you, sir? All right. There was a question that I missed at the top. Make sure I got it. Jason, will ETH 2.0 crush Polygon Matic? I don't think so. Polygon are building out so many other use cases beyond the scalability solution for Ethereum that I don't think that's the case. And plus, Ethereum still isn't going to scale like a rocket ship post EIP 1559. Hopefully it'll get a little bit better, but it's not going to be completely fixed until next year. And in the meantime, the Matic team are developing a lot of other stuff out. Now, I believe, I have a theory, and I hold a little bit of Matic. It's been extremely lackluster over the past month or so, because I think there's a lot of pent-up fear for EIP 1559. But post EIP 1559, I think it'll all be goodness. So I'm not too concerned. However, it's very clear there are much faster horses in the race. If you look at the action, the price action on Solana and Chainlink and Polkadot, they're all doing much better. Grens 101, thank you so much. You are very kind. Let me see if there's any other questions popping in here. We've got Cryptoholic Holder, Ethereum, Solana, Link, Luna. Luna, yes, Luna is related in this space. So that's another good question that would come in is, would you be on Luna or Nano? So we'll see. But I know there's a lot of Luna fans out there as well. Where'd you get that sign? Oh, interesting. Augustus. Let me see. KH, missed question. Paolo Santo, do you trade Bitcoin and Ethereum to accumulate tech profits or hodl? And if so, what price? So I look at things, first of all, I got into Bitcoin and Ethereum early, so I'm very, very lucky and I'm still blessed. But if I have fiat in an account and I think, okay, should I let it shrink by 15% per year or invest it in something that I know is going to go up as fiat debases? And I just keep putting money into Bitcoin as I get it rather than let it shrivel up in a bank account. So that is my take, and I do not sell. Now, there is a situation if I do see weakness in Ethereum from competitors like Solana a year from now, and if we're at the top of the bull market and say Ethereum's at 8,900 and I see them beginning to lose market share, yeah, I might sell some. But Bitcoin is one of those pristine assets that you hold forever if you can. So, Juan Lambo, I'm glad you like the new DCO show. And those guys are real gents. So, and keep giving us feedback as well. I read all the comments and I listen to the audience. So if you guys want to hear about unicorns and rainbows or whatever, let us know and we'll take that into account as well. Yeah, Rune, it's so funny because I was looking at Rune as well. I actually had a limit order at $3.01 the day before it got hacked for the second time, and it missed by 0.06 of a cent on, I can't remember which exchange it was, FTX or Coinbase. So, and kind of kicking myself. That was one of those things where everybody's leaving because they were hacked. And I said, wow, this is such a bargain. And it would have been from, well, $3 to where it is today, would be 130% reviews. Zab Judah, regarding Elrond review, I was looking at Elrond, and because it's run so much, I don't like to chase, but it does appear to be a very, very good protocol. And Naughty Jackal wants Kusama as well, so we'll see. There's so much to do, and now it's time. Right now I'm beginning to get back into, hello Nicola from Zurich, getting back into looking at much more positions, because we're seeing this whole interesting crossover world between equities and crypto, a la Square. And if you look at the Square action today on the stock market, it was good. Guitar player Noah, do you live with any cats? There are many animals here, believe it or not, but they're not allowed down where I am. Except one snuck in one day. Lorelei, hey James, absolutely love your channel. Thank you for what you do. I was wondering how you make a market cap prediction for a coin. Yeah, so what I do is I look at what it is closest to, calculate the total addressable market, calculate the number of tokens, the inflation rate, and a whole bunch of other factors, put them all into a model, and try to come up with my own price prediction. And that's why I do it. Hey, Christy Tolbert, yesterday video confirmed why I became a Patreon. Thank you for having a voice for the Analyst in Need. Christy, thank you so much, and welcome into Patreon. I hope you're getting everything you need there. What type of coffee do you drink? Is it a healthy option? Yes, I'm drinking oat milk with espresso with ice. So I try and dilute the coffee in the afternoon. and I don't do dairy. So that's the type of coffee. And sometimes I put different types of mushroom powder in there as well. Say my name, please. Saim Malik. There's your name. Hope it's not it's an okay name to say. So let me see. 10 to 20 year prediction or speculation. You can't go out, even with the exception of maybe Bitcoin. It's very risky to go out more than 10 years in any prediction. And again, these are all predictions. Anything can happen in the world. Anything can change. So it's hard to say. Quantum computing could technically bring Bitcoin down 10 years from now. Who knows? Although I do believe the protocol will be updated to make it quantum proof, if anybody has any concern about that. But again, you never know what's going to happen. So let me see. Any final questions from anybody? Because I know it's kind of a quiet one. Not many people know what Nano is because it's outside the top 100, ranked number 102 right now. And Brad Bailey, have you ever been on CNBC? No. But I was on a Bloomberg show a long time ago, back in the 90s. Christian, try Nexo. Let me see. Joe, and appreciate that. Joe Cortapia. Hope I got that right. So many good names. And Grenz, thank you so much as well. Any other final questions, everybody? Is anybody excited? What coin is your fastest horse? That's a good question from Edgar. So it depends. So some have already run. Like my top 3 altcoins outside of Bitcoin would be Ethereum, Solana, Chainlink. They're kind of all really safe plays for the future, I believe. But I'm also in Uniswap, Aave, Avalanche, and I haven't actually published this yet, but I just got a fill on something, and I need to let Patreon know first before I release it here, because that would not be fair. So that's it. Let me see. We've got Craig M. What do you believe the biggest risk factor for Bitcoin adoption and growth over the long term? Well, it's funny because my theory is I think retail investors, Craig, is a very interesting question. They get put off by the fact that Bitcoin is so expensive at 36,000 or whatever the case may be right now. Let me actually pull up the real-time quote. And bear with me one second. Yeah, Bitcoin just took another dip under 39K, and it keeps dipping down. But my theory is a lot of retail investors start buying the cheaper protocols, cheaper tokens that are out there. But the big money investors, the big conservative investors, they will be putting the money in the safest assets. And that would, of course, be Bitcoin first. Because they like the 200% per year. They don't need the 10x. They're very happy with that. And at the same time, they want a lot of security. So if you're a pension fund or a treasury or whatever else, you want to be in the safest asset. Now, remember, Bitcoin did go from 29,000 up to 42.4, 42.5. And now it is taking a little bit of a breather. And I always like the analogy of, imagine you're hiking up a hill, and every time you go up, say, 700 meters straight, you need to spend 100 meters, 200 meters flat for a while. And that's what Bitcoin's doing and coming down. But despite that, we are seeing other great action in many other names too. I think the market just flipped and must be after 5 o'clock. So it's a brand new day. When is Chili's analyzed? That's a great question. So, but getting back to you, Craig, regarding what do you believe the biggest risk factor for Bitcoin? Nothing. I think it's going to be widely adopted. There's rumors now that the biggest oil company in the world is going to start mining Bitcoin using flare gas from their oil. And Gazprom in Russia is going to do the same thing. So what Bitcoin is beginning to do now, or people begin to realize ever since China shut all the miners down, people that have access to free energy but could never transport it now want to find ways to bring a revenue money-making machine like a rig, an ASICs rig, to, say, Siberia, where they can run these machines off flare gas that would otherwise be let into the atmosphere. So it's a win-win for the world and for energy and for the Russians and the people in Saudi Arabia and other places. So Craig, I don't see any threats to adoption, and we're so early. 1.4% of the world has adopted Bitcoin, and the number of Bitcoin crypto users has doubled since January. So two little factors to think about. It took 12 years for the number of crypto users to get to a certain level, and it doubled in 6 months. So fast forward another 6 months to January 2022. Could it double again? If that's the case, it's going to be crazy. Chadwick, you are so kind every day to be here. I appreciate that. And Frank, you too. Very, very, very generous of you. And again, any contribution here, of course, goes towards our furry friends and people in need. So thank you all. LH. Thanks, James. I am in DeFi chain. I've had a lot of requests for that Bitcoin DeFi decision based on Chicken Genius. Excellent channel analysis. Hoping you could weave your magic on that token. So DeFi chain, Chicken Genius. Somebody mentioned him, I think, before. I could be completely wrong, but is he a Tesla guy? Let me know. But I'm big into DeFi, and I will check out the DeFi chain. It's on the list. We're looking at a couple of other DeFi-related things. We are also going to be digging into chilies. I spent a lot of time digging into that, and I'm now becoming much more fascinated, as is Raul Paul. So, Neon Visual. Ethereum seems to be detaching from Bitcoin movements lately. FOMO. Everything's detaching from everything. In fact, I discussed this with George and Rob yesterday. So I look at patterns between assets that should be coordinated. But if you look at some of the cryptos of how Chainlink popped, and then Solana popped, and then Polkadot popped, they're all doing their own thing. So if I look at anything that's kind of popping right now, a lot of people are asking why Quant is tanking. I don't follow Quant. Hex is up, but it's just nothing is in the past. In the old days, like in 2017, everything would rise together at the same time. But now everything has its own narrative. It has its own news cycle, and that's what's driving big movements. And I don't think it's FOMO. I do think EIP 1559 has a big part of the ETH movement, and Ethereum did move very nicely today, but now it just fell back a little bit. So hopefully tonight I'll get back to 2650 and above, and then it should be quickly up to 3000 again, and then beyond that we'll see. So Bobby H ask George why he doesn't like Avalanche next time. Avalanche is a weird one. It has haters and it has lovers. There's some things that I really like about it, and I am invested in Avalanche in full disclosure. Bomb Biggie, you are too kind. Every day you're here. Thank you for that. Want to say the video where you displayed orangutan hope? Oh, I can't do that again. But thank you. You're very kind. And it's just beyond me how humans can be so cruel. So, got it out the mud. Good day. I'm stuck in AMC and Lucid. Oh no! That's heartbreaking, man. Total investment 4,500 in the hole. 1,700. We just all. Yeah, this is one of these things. So everybody, like the lesson here, get out the mud. You're stuck in the mud now. If you get into an asset and that asset falls 20%, like an equity, I'm not talking about crypto because it can go up and down 20% in a day. And you need to really sit down and reassess your investment thesis. Anybody playing with GameStop or AMC, you're looking for trouble. Lucid Motors, that also many people say it's going to be another Nikola, like another total fraud. The CEO is just, he is lying on TV. I listened to him and wrote down some notes, and I compared that to an old press release from 2 or 3 months ago, and he was just downright lying with orders and production capabilities. If you want to play with an EV, buy Tesla. If you want to buy a safe entertainment stock, buy something like Disney. But don't go into AMC. So you're down a little over 60%. Pull the trigger, and you need to make your money back so you can take on a little bit more risk. It looks like you're not afraid of risk. I would definitely, think like Ethereum's going to $800 to $900 within a year or so, and that's going to be nearly a 4x from here. So that way you can make your money back. But AMC is going to zero eventually. GameStop, unless they radically change their business model. They got to get rid of all that brick and mortar. That's also going to zero. So just back winners, everybody. There's a reason good companies are expensive. It's because they're the best. You look at the Apples, the Amazons, the Googles. All of these names are expensive. Hey, Marcel Gardes, please check Harmony 1. We did. And Harmony is the most undervalued crypto currently. No, it's not. It has very bad tokenomics and a few other issues. We are looking at it, and it doesn't look so good so far. El Cid, James, thoughts on Voyager stock? Voyager stock, the only thing I like about them is the CEO used to be the CEO of E-Trade, so he knows how to run an exchange. I have a Voyager account. I like some of what they do. I don't like some of what they do. I hate the spreads. The Voyager utility token, I don't think is a good thing. It has some issues. But the Voyager stock, what I do like about that is the amount of Bitcoin they have on the balance sheet. I can't remember. It's like 12,500 Bitcoins, which is huge. So if Bitcoin does skyrocket, which many people expect it will, I think that stock will do well as well. So that would be kind of my take on that. And let me see. Any other quick questions? Everybody's looking for Ren. And sometimes, I get a lot of requests to look at a lot of garbage. But 1 in 10 of the things that the audience recommends actually works out really well. The question is, you guys all have to separate the wheat from the chaff. Like, so many people ask me to look at Hex and SafeMoon and a lot of other really, really high risky stuff. But there are some good treasures out there. We'll see. When we update a video about personal wallets soon, VG? That's a very good question. So my whole stance regarding self-storage has changed with all the changes in exchanges and regulatory. So now I think the risk is almost greater not taking self-custody. I used to say, well, not your keys, not your coins. Yes, I get it. But the danger of self-custody is ridiculous. Even professional crypto people have lost their seed phrases and everything else. So we'll see. Luna, Ren, everybody's talking about Luna, Ren, and all that other good stuff. The Underdog, thank you. Hey, James, new to the channel and new to the crypto scene since a few months ago, wondering why no one seems to be talking about Luna. Well, I just talked about Nano, which is in a similar type of space as Luna. So we'll see. It's all about adoption, but we'll have another look. When I look at tokens, I try and estimate where it could go and how much the upside is, and I like to invest that way. And Kusama, I know George likes Kusama a lot. Bombiggy, I bought more Solana, and now I have to choose between Link or Uniswap. Your thoughts? So Link is the safer bet. Uniswap has that regulatory risk, so it depends on your risk appetite. I have Uniswap as well, but let me see, actually, because I know Link has been on fire. Sometimes when things are on fire, it makes them very, very expensive. And Uniswap just took a huge nosedive from 23 down to 22. Let me see. When I compare them both, yeah, they're actually similar. Uniswap isn't doing too bad at all, considering all of the regulatory concerns that are out there. That's a tough one. And I can't give financial advice, of course, but split the difference. They're both running. I think Chainlink is the far safer bet, and that's why it's in my top 3. So I put most of what I have into Chainlink. So that'll be my situation. The Underdog. Gas Crypto Punks, The Underdog. Hey, James, what do you think about us home ETH miners? Are we screwed? I think you need to start thinking about your plan B. What are you going to mine next and how you can repurpose that equipment. But you have time. You can still, Ethereum mining is still the most lucrative mining gig out there, except for maybe Helium. I'm not sure exactly. But you're going to be good until Feb 2022, maybe January. But start mapping out your future plan and figuring out where you go next. In the meantime, make hay while the sun is shining, as they say. Limits from MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy, I was checking it out there today. It was kind of weak, 620, 630. It's funny because I always look at even though they're completely separate, but MicroStrategy and Tesla tend to go in similar but different directions. They're always out of sync. When one is strong, the other one's weak, and vice versa. MicroStrategy right now is coming back to earth. It is technically overvalued from a Bitcoin perspective, but it's getting close to coming back into the realm of where it needs to be. And I can't give financial advice, of course, but I have a lot of MicroStrategy, so I am irresponsibly long on MicroStrategy. Just looking at the recent action, like if anybody can ever buy MicroStrategy at 540, 550 in the big dip, go grab it, because that's a very, very, very valuable company at that price. But right now up around the 630, 640, 680, it's a little bit too expensive based on their value. You're better off just buying Bitcoin directly. So let me see. Master Black Warrior for the Analyst. You are too kind. Thank you so much. And do you recommend Kraken for trading, holding alts in the US? Is Coinbase Pro or another exchange better? Thanks for all you do. Loving the Patreon. Oh, welcome in. Thank you for being here. So I don't use Kraken. I don't use Gemini because historically they were a little bit more expensive. I'm heavy into Coinbase Pro and FTX and a few other little exchanges for some of the obscure coins. So I do know that Gemini and Coinbase are considered the most secure. And we did a very detailed analysis of all the exchanges across multiple points of security and fees and everything else. I'd like to refer you to that video, and I'll post all the data as well on Patreon so you can see it there. But I think Coinbase Pro, even though some people hate Coinbase itself, I find it to be very good. And they have some cool features that are good for power users, especially if you need to move money around fast. They are very quick, no questions asked. Especially, if you're in a situation where you need to move a big chunk of money onto the exchange quick to be able to buy something fast, Coinbase is the best right now. So, Kate Boss, you mentioned you eat Impossible plant-based meat. It's delicious. What are the good brands? Yeah, the Impossible food burger is like a week treat with asparagus on the smoker. But I know it's not exactly health food because it's full of saturated fats and sodium. But, you're allowed to cheat once a week. But yeah, just grill anything. Lots of broccoli and Brussels sprouts and asparagus and stuff like that. And lots of spinach in my vegetable blends every day. Black Crypto Walker. Hey, boss. Thinking about getting into Engine and Mana. Would you pay these prices or wait for a pushback? Also, opinion on Quant. If it's a buy, Quant is getting hammered right now, so not touching it. Engine was a good deal at $1. Now at nearly $1.40. I don't know if it's still a buy. I need to assess. What I would probably do if you're interested in those types of plays, take a hard look at Chili's. I think Chili's is super interesting and relatively good price. I think Engine's $1.39 right now. And Mana, I don't know. I heard a lot of people talking about B-Pro as an NFT play as well, but we haven't analyzed that either. Again, it takes a long time to go deep into a crypto, and there's only so much time to do a bunch of other stuff. So everybody, I'm going to make that a wrap. Big thank you as well for all the donations. I'll take one last question, but please don't throw any more super chats at us, because it also takes us a long time to find animals to adopt as well. You guys are so kind. XRP opinion from Jeremy Robinson. People love XRP. Somebody wrote on Twitter, XRP is going to $1,000. It's like, okay, if you look at the 100 billion tokens and multiply 100 billion times 1,000, that's $100 trillion. XRP is not going to $1,000, trust me. So I think there's far safer places. What really has me concerned, again, I've said 100 times before, there's 51 billion tokens in escrow within the XRP, and the people that manage it are a little bit shady. So just go with people you can trust. It's just much safer. And I hope the XRP army doesn't go crazy. Dan Cook. Could Travala disrupt the travel space? They have limited coins and also burn coins starting August 1st. I believe you're so humble. Thank you so much. It's so funny. I was talking to somebody about Travala when I was in Hawaii, and they were super interested in that space. And since then, I haven't actually looked into it or checked it out. The problem is with the travel space right now, where we are, I'm not too sure how good it is with Delta and everything else. I know it's very difficult for people to move from one continent to another these days with the restrictions, but we will have definitely Dan Cook. We'll have a quick look at Travala and find out exactly if it's good or bad. And it sounds like the tokenomics are good and deflationary from August 4th. What is it with August 4th? Same date as Ethereum as well. So a big thank you everybody for Richard Brad, hang on, for the analyst. Thank you. So you guys are so kind. Let me do one last question. Oh, hello, Jaja. Should I DCA today and anything in particular? I actually made 3 trades today, so I've been buying, but just very selectively on certain names with little limits. So I wait for things to fall into my little limit traps, and when they do, it's like, good. So there's a lot of things that have run up a lot, but when you benchmark against kind of future price predictions, you can still find a couple of bargains. And it's sometimes painful to think about, and this is kind of like a psychological thing, say Polkadot, it was $10 a couple of weeks ago, now it's $18. Don't you wish you bought more at 10? And does it still make sense to buy at 18? Yes, it does when you look at the upside of things like Polkadot. So Bruce Lawrence, I talked to you before. You sure did. Have you changed your mind on Cardano yet? You know what? What is exactly what I was saying I was doing. So I got this big, huge spreadsheet, and all the tokens that I've analyzed is about 18 at this stage with my future price predictions. And then I pull in from the web the actual price. I benchmarked against my 2021 price and my 2030 price prediction. And I calculate which ones have the most upside to go. And because everything has gotten so expensive and Cardano is still lagging, and I see Cardano going to $3, maybe $3.50, it's now looking like a pretty safe bet if they can deliver. So, of course, not financial advice, but Cardano is still at $1.25, $1.30, I think it is today. And at that price, it's beginning to get very attractive, as all the other altcoins, I call them the faster horses, they're all running really fast and they left Cardano in the ditch. But now it's only a matter of time before people say, all this other stuff is too expensive. You know what? I'm going to take another look at Cardano. So, Bruce, maybe. And I do have a Cardano position. I have a couple of thousand ADA sitting somewhere, just to be safe. Like I have some H-bar and some V-chain, just in case what happens. So I think it's getting really attractive. And if there is a big dip, and like I was a big buyer of Cardano at $1 and $1.15 and like $1.30 now with everything else getting so expensive, we'll see. So stay tuned and I'll let you know if I do buy any more Cardano. Okay. Have an oatmeal stout in hand. Good man, El Cid. That sounds healthy. Sounds like healthy Guinness. Pinot Noir. You guys are all drinking. It's happy hour. And I've got my Dunder Mifflin iced coffee. Time to switch gears then maybe for me. All right. Valstrix finally left my V-chain position for Solana. Good man. $35, no. I was actually looking at Solana today. Valtrax, and thank you for the question. Well, it's 33 now. Ooh, yeah, it just took a little bit of a dip. When did you buy at 35? Yeah, it was at 35 earlier. It was nearly at 36 today. And it's gone down to 33. So I have limit orders for Solana at 32, and that's where I buy. But yeah, don't quibble over $1 or so when the big picture is very bright for Solana. And again, we're still early in this bull market, everybody. Don't start thinking about your exit plans. We have a long way to go, and the money is arriving. And you've got now Saudi Arabia, you've got Iran, you've got the Russians, you've got Kazakhstan, you've got the Ukraine, you've got all places in South America that are trying to find ways to mine and collect and hodl Bitcoin. And you have the doubling of active crypto users in 6 months. Took 12 years to get to whatever 1 point active users is, whatever the numbers are. I can't remember them right now. And for that to double in 6 months is pretty impressive. So we are early. And as you can see from talking to your networks, everybody's beginning to jump into the party. So, but you guys are first in the pool. So big congratulations to everybody. And thank you all for being here. Where's the German money? So Darren, I heard today that officially they could start this week, but the money purchases can't start happening till Wednesday. So it seems like everything's happening on August 4th. You know, Travala burning, EIP 1559, German money will flow. So we'll see. But just think about the money that's beginning to come. You know, July was big, and there's a lot more coming. Thoughts on H-bar? I don't like it. I'm not a big fan. Again, not that it's bad, but there's a lot more. That's a funny question from JRAM. I have one day I'll tell you guys how I cut my hair. So, and without having to go out. So anyway, you guys are great. Telcoin is one we've glimpsed at. Haven't gone in big. Mittwoch, yeah. Elsid, exactly. Enjoy your stout beer, everybody. Big thank you, everybody. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Tomorrow got a very interesting show. So thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Be safe.